All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. We're going to turn to face the east towards Jerusalem, and we're going to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. All right, shalom to the elect, those that are fighting to enduring to the end, and that are calling on the true names of the Father in the name of the only begotten Son, which are Yahweh, which is the name of the Heavenly Father, meaning He is, and that is who the world ignorantly calls God, and His only begotten Son, whose name is Yahweh Shai. All right, and that is who the world also ignorantly calls Jesus, a so-called black man, who, by the way, only came for the Israelites. All right. Now, what brings us to our discussion / topic this afternoon is, lest thou boast. Okay, it's not of works, lest thou boast. All right. So Israel has a propensity or a knack for taking credit, and acting as if they knew everything from the beginning. So the Lord put us in this state that we're in, so we can't boast. All right. But you're still going to have 2/3 of our people that still got that prideful, egotistic, attitude that they know everything, but they don't. All right. The Lord put us in this state for that particular reason, man. Because why? We've always gone off. All right. We've always chased after other idols, and it's no different from today. All right. Now, what's the main idol that we chase after today? It's Christianity. Okay. See, but Christianity lacks substance. Okay. It doesn't give us prophecy. All right. Not just Christianity, but Egyptology. All right. None of these other false idols can give us the fulfillment that we need in prophecy. All right. And no man can boast. All right. That he knows everything. It's not of works. All right. When you come into this truth, you learn to do what? Shut your mouth, learn, and be humble. All right. And then in due time, you build yourself up. You go out and preach and teach if that's your calling, if the Lord has called you to do that. All right. Or else you just find other ways to help the ministry. All right. But lest any man boast, it's not of works. Matter of fact, let's get that and open up with that in Ephesians 2 and chapter 8. This is the book of Ephesians, chapter 2 and verse 8. Let's read this. This is the book of Ephesians, chapter 2 and verse 8. It reads, "For by grace are ye saved through faith." See? Not of your works, man. All right? Because all our works, as it says in the book of Isaiah, is as a filthy rag. All right? We can't perform the works that's satisfying to the eyes of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, because why? We're in this sinful flesh. Okay? So it's not of our works that we're saved or that we've received this mercy and grace, as it's going to go on to say. Let's read that again. Ephesians 2 and 8. "For by grace are ye saved through faith, and that not of yourselves." See? Because as stated earlier, Israel, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, have a knack or a way of trying to take credit that they shouldn't be taking credit. All right. And the Lord isn't going to let you take his credit, man. You're not going to save yourself. You're going to know in that day that you're only being delivered or saved because you are the elect. All right. And nothing else. All right. Not because of your works, not because you think you knew something and you discovered something and somehow you're going to somehow figure out a way how to maneuver your way around what's coming. No. All right. You're going to know in that day if you are the elect when those missiles come. All right. When those missiles are coming down on America and you can't figure out no way how to get out of this situation but to pray and call on the names of Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, if you've been blessed to receive those names and to keep those and obtain those names up until that day with the works. All right. Because it's not by works alone. All right. You got to have it all. You got to have the works. You got to have the mercy. You got to be called from the beginning. Okay. It says, "For by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of the Most High." See? Because just because you're an Israelite don't mean you got it. All right. You got to receive this gift. You got to be chosen. For many are called, but few are chosen. See? You got to be chosen. All right. Now, if you are called and chosen, that's a gift. That's a blessing. All right. The Lord has received you. Okay. It says, uh, and that not of yourselves, it is a gift of the Most High. Verse 9, not of works. This is where the title comes from. Ephesians 2:9, not of works, lest any man should boast. Okay. And that's one thing the Father doesn't like, a proudful, a boastful spirit, man. All right. That's why it says pride goeth before the downfall and a haughty spirit before destruction, roughly paraphrasing. All right. But I believe that's in the book of Proverbs. See? So if you of this walk and you are in truth and sincerity, the Lord is going to keep you in that humble spirit, man. All right. Because you understand, you didn't know Jack, diddly smack before you came into this truth, man. You didn't know the Father's name. You didn't know the outcome of America. You didn't know how you was going to be delivered. You didn't know the Messiah's name. You didn't know what the mark of the beast is, to the intent that you know not to take it. And if you do take it, you're going to be destroyed. You didn't know any of that. All right. So you can't boast and brag as if you did, because you had to learn all over again like a babe. All right. You had to be brought up on what? Milk, the essentials, the bare essentials of this truth. Finding out this whole thing all over again. The names, the Father name, the Son, his only begotten Son name, the outcome, the faith of America, the outcome, the fate of America. How are we going to be delivered? You didn't know what the so-called UFOs were in the Bible. You didn't know that that's going to be how we get delivered out of America. You didn't know any of these things. See, Christianity didn't teach you that. All right, because why? Your ears were closed, your eyes were blind. All right, your heart wasn't yet open. All right, lest any man should what? Boast. Okay, because then you can say, oh, I knew all about that in Christianity before I came into this truth. You a damn lie, man. Okay, because we were all in Christianity, so-called Christianity, at one point in time, and we didn't know about chariots. See, we didn't know the names of the Father. All right, we called him at best Yahweh. All right, there is no E's in the Paleo Hebrew, so his name couldn't be Yahweh. See, we didn't know that Yahweh Shai's name was Yahweh Shai. We thought his name was Jesus, but we found out that the letter J didn't exist to the 1500s. See, lest any man should boast. All right, so the Lord put that on us so that we will be what? Humble. All right, lest any man should boast. So any man that's coming into this walk, they can't be proudful, because why? They learn from someone else. All right, they didn't get this knowledge on their own. All right, the Lord didn't give it to them like that. All right, you didn't get this knowledge on your own. You can't be boastful. You can't be proudful. So it says Ephesians 2:9, not of works, lest any man should boast. Right? Oh, I did that. Oh, I knew that. Nah, man. And we know Jake got a propensity of doing shit like that, man. Trying to take the credit from Yahweh while Yahweh shot, man. No, the Lord ain't gonna be like that. The Lord ain't gonna let it go down like that. The Lord is gonna get all the glory, man. All the fame, okay? And you just pray that he delivers us if we of that number, the elect. So let's go to Isaiah, I believe it's 66. And let's read this. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 60. 60, is it that works as a filthy rag? Let's see if we can find that. I know it's in Isaiah. All that works is as a filthy rag, see? Because all our works ain't gonna get us delivered, man. It's by grace, by mercy. All right? So let's see if we can get that. It's gotta be Isaiah 65 or 66. Let me look this up. Thy works is as a filthy rag. All right, that was one chapter off. It's Isaiah 64. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 64 and verse 6. Let's read it. Because it's not of your works that you're going to be delivered. This is Isaiah 64 and verse 6. It reads, but we are all as an unclean thing. See? So in order to deal with the Father, you got to be pure, man. All right? And we are all as an unclean thing. That's why he had to prepare his only begotten son, Yahushua, as that what? Perfect sacrifice. It says, but we are all as an unclean thing, and all our righteousness are as filthy rags. See? So it's not by works that you're gonna be able to deliver yourself, because all your works are as what? Filthy rags. Because it says if you break one of the commandments, you're guilty of breaking them all. See? And we can never keep all the commandments to the best. Well, we can keep them to the best of our ability, but we can't keep them perfect in this sinful flesh. So it's not by works that we're going to be saved or delivered. It says, but we are all as an unclean thing, and all our righteousness are as filthy rags. And we all do fade as a leaf, and our iniquities like the wind have taken us away. See? This is why we need grace. This is why we need mercy. This is why we're not to boast, all right? Lest any man should what? Boast if it's of his works. That's why it's not of our works that we're going to be delivered or saved by, all right? Now, do we make void the keeping of the commandments? No, we keep them to the best of our ability, but we have the understanding that it's going to be through faith and mercy shown to us that we're going to be delivered if we of that number, the elect, all right? So let's go to Isaiah 48 and verse 1. It reads, Isaiah 48 and 1. Hear this, O house of Jacob. All right, you so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans. It reads, which are called by the name of Israel, right? Because Jacob wrestled an angel and asked for a blessing, and he gave him the name of Yasharallah, Prince of the Power, all right? It says, hear ye this, O house of Jacob, which are called by the name of Israel, and are come forth out of the waters of Judah, which swear by the name of Yahweh and make mention of the power of Israel, which is Yahweh, but not in truth nor in righteousness. See? So our people has always had that tendency of going off, man, claiming to worship the Lord, but what? Falling into the hands of idol worshiping, all right? So the Lord got fed up with that, man, all right? The Lord got fed up with that, and he put us away for a while, okay? That's why we went into those different captivities. That's why we're in this last captivity till this day. It says, for they call themselves of the holy city and stay themselves upon the power of Israel. Yahweh of hosts is his name. Verse 3, Isaiah 48 and 3. I have declared the former things from the beginning. See? So he's declared the former things since from the beginning, man. All right? Going into slavery, all these prophecies from the beginning, all right? Even till today, all right? The mark of the beast. All these things are declared from the beginning. The prophets has always been on the scene prophesying, going back into the garden with Adam and Eve, okay? So there will be no excuse. It says, I have declared the former things from the beginning, and they went forth out of my mouth. See? And whatever the Lord tells his prophets, his servants to say to the people, to speak to the people, it will come to pass. Because why? His word will not go out void. Isaiah 55 and verse 11. Let's read that. All right. You got to understand one thing about the Lord. Hey, if he say it, you can book it. All right. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 55 and verse 11. It reads, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. See, it says, it shall not return unto me void. See, and who is his mouthpiece? The prophets, the servants. That's how his word goes out, and it should not come back void. Meaning what? It's going to accomplish everything that is set out to do. It says, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. See? So guess what? All these prophecies are going to what? Profit in the things that it sent. All right. And the prophecies that's going to prosper in these last days is what? The mark of the beast, the elect being delivered, Jacob's trouble, America being destroyed. All these things are going to be accomplished in the end. Okay. Because why? This word is not going to go out void. All right. So it says back to Isaiah 48:3, I have declared the former things from the beginning, and they went forth out of my mouth, and I showed them. See, it says, I did them suddenly, and they came to pass. All right. Everything came to pass that the Lord said from the beginning. All right. Even to the end, even to now. All right. And we are in the end time. It says, I did them suddenly, and they came to pass, because I knew that thou art obstinate, and thy neck is an iron sinew, and thy brow brass. See? So the Lord knew what type of people we are. A stiff neck, as it says right here, a neck as iron, and a head as brass, hard-headed, man. So the Lord put these prophecies into place so that Israel couldn't take the credit, man. See? Because Israel has a tendency or propensity of trying to take the credit and make it seem like they knew shit that happened before it happens, man. Well, guess what? If you knew you was going to go into captivity, wouldn't you avoid going into captivity? Of course you would, but you didn't know that. Because why? The Lord didn't tell you that. It says he reveals his secrets to his prophets, the servants. All right? If you knew the mark of the beast was coming, wouldn't you not want to take it? Of course you wouldn't, but guess what? A lot of our people are going to take it still. All right? Because why? They don't know, okay, that if you take it, that's the ultimate sin. There's no repentance. See? So Jake ain't gonna have no excuse. All right. And Jake always like to come up with an excuse or explanation of why he did this or why he didn't do that, or he knew this or why he didn't know that. Well, no, and this time there ain't gonna be no excuse. All right. And the Lord prophesied these things through his servants of prophets before they happened. All right. So you can't take credit. All right. You didn't know the names, like we stated earlier, of the Lord Yahweh and his only begotten son Yahweh Shai. If so, the names would have been out a lot sooner than they were. All right. This is end time prophecy that we're taking part of. It says, I have declared the former things from the beginning, and they went forth out of my mouth, and I showed them. I did them suddenly, and they came to pass. See? That captivity was a major one that came to pass, all right? Going into the Babylonians, going into the Syrian captivity, going into the Persian Medes captivity, and going into this last captivity, all right? It says, verse 4, because I knew that thou art obstinate or hard-headed, stiff-necked, and thy neck is an iron sinew, and thy brow brass. Verse 5, I have even from the beginning declared it to thee. See? And Jake got a problem with that, man. Because Jake's saying, well, why did the Lord do this to us then? See? If he knew that we would go off, why did he do this to us? Why did he make us this way? See, that's the creature questioning the creator, man. Okay? It's because he wanted to do it this way. All right? And that's it. He doesn't have to explain himself to you. Jake, who are you, man? You're the creature, not the creator. All right? You can't question that. You can question it, but you don't have, the Lord doesn't have to give you an answer, man. All right? Play your role, play your part. Okay? Just live out the scriptures. Okay? Either you're gonna be a 2/3 and a reprobate and be destroyed? Are you going to be a 1/3 and be pulled through the fire and be refined into something that the Lord can use, man? All right. But if you got that proud, boastful spirit that you think you know everything and that the Bible is going off and the Bible is inaccurate and the Bible is not this and is that, then you ain't going to make it too long, man. All right. You ain't going to make it too long. That's why the Lord didn't reveal his secrets to you, because you're not the servants to prophets, man. All right. That's why you don't know what the so-called UFOs are in the Bible. That's why you don't have the names of the Father and the only begotten Son. You're still calling on Yahweh or Yeshua or, whatever. All right. You don't have the names. Okay. Because the Lord hasn't revealed them to you. He hasn't gave them to you. Okay. That's why the title is Not of Works, Lest Any Man Should Boast, man. See, the Lord didn't give it to you. All right. Because you will be what? Proudful, boastful. All right. Saying you knew it already. Well, if you knew it already, you should have figured it out what's going to happen before the end. All right. But see, you don't know shit. So you need to just shut your mouth and listen. Okay. It says Isaiah 48 and verse 4. Because I knew that thou art obstinate, and thy neck is an iron sinew, and thy brow brass, I have even from the beginning declared it to thee. Before it came to pass, I showed it to thee. My idol have done them, my graven image and my molten image have commanded them. See? So let's start over again. Let's read that from the top. This is Isaiah 48 in verse 5. I have even from the beginning declared it to thee. Before it came to pass, I showed it thee. Lest thou shouldst sayest, my idol have done them. See? And that's what's up with Jake, man. See, if the Lord didn't declare these things from the beginning and put them in the scriptures, then Jake would somehow finagle their way to say, you know what? I did that. Because you can even look at yourself as an idol. Or Jesus showed me that. Jesus didn't show you shit, man. Because if he showed you something, you would know why you in the predicament that you in. All right. You would know a lot more than what you say or claim you know, but you don't, because your idol can't show you shit. So it says, I have even from the beginning declared it to thee. Before it came to pass, I showed it thee. Lest or except thou shouldst sayest, my idol have done them, and my graven image and my molten image have commanded them. See? So you can't boast, you can't brag and say that your God knew this or that you knew this. Because if you did, where's the evidence? Where's the proof? All right? You don't have any. Because you and your idol or your graven image can't produce it. Because why? There's no prophecy. There's no living waters running through those fake idols, man. All right? Through whatever philosophies and ideologies you believe. You can't tell how the end is going to happen. You can't tell who the enemy is. All right? You can't tell diddly jack. All right? Because why? The Lord isn't dealing with you, man. All right? As it says, I showed my prophets, my servants, these secrets. All right? If you knew these things, you would be making videos and you would be out prophesying and preaching this truth. All right? But the mere fact that you believe in Egyptology, Christianity, so-called Christianity, whatever else, the Moorish, whatever else, all of those, you can't produce the facts, the evidence of what's going to happen. All right. And the Lord had it that way set up. All right. Because we've tried everything under the sun other than returning to Yahweh while Yahweh shy. All right. See, that's the problem with our people, man. All right. They want to try everything else but the truth. All right. And we understand it's not for all of our people. Although we are all called, for many are called, only a small number of remnant is actually chosen to receive this. Okay. To understand the mysteries, the breakdowns, the deep, dark secrets, okay? Those are the ones that the Lord have chosen to receive this message, the meek, the humble, all right? Not the proud, the boastful, and coming in Esau, Edom spirit, man. They think they know everything, man. You just got to sit back, shut up, and listen, and absorb like a sponge this knowledge, man, all right? Lest by any works, it says what? Ephesians 2:9 says that what? Not of works, lest any man should boast. See? Oh, my idol, my graven image, you know, it told me this, you know, because Jake far bugged out, man. All right, Jake is far the hell bugged out, man. He'll have a shrine or, you know, worship all type of shit in his room and then think that he got some type of deep knowledge, man. Okay? Jake can have a idol set up in his room or in his office or whatever else and think he's so deep into it, man. Oh yeah, I got the knowledge from Ra or Ramen or whatever Egypt God that he prayed to and think that he's so deep in understanding and revealing that to. Well, if your God, your graven image, Ra or whatever Egypt God you worship knew something, they would tell you what's the end game. All right. I've yet to see prophecy come out of Egypt. All right. Or Egyptology. Give me a prophecy, something that I can hang my hat on and say, okay, I can look out for this. Give me a warning. See, this is what these other idols can't produce. Prophecy. This is what separates the Bible, the Holy Bible, from all these other false religions. That the Holy Bible is a living testament, okay, of what's to come and that what's already passed, okay? Give me something out of the 48 laws of Ma'at, all right? Give me something out of the Moorish. You know, give me something. You know, only thing Jake can do is tell you how to somewhat set up an LLC or a business or something to obtain some kind of generational wealth. See? But that's the vanity behind that, because if they knew biblical prophecy, they would know all of that shit is vanity because this place is going to be destroyed. So what are you building your house on a weak foundation such as America, Esau, Edom kingdom that's built on quicksand? Because this place is quick. This place is sinking quick. All right. Just look at the price of inflation of gas. It seems like it's going down, but that's temporarily. All right. Wait till the summertime. All right. When gas prices are going to be $5, $6 a gallon nationwide. All right. Why couldn't Roth or whatever Egyptology God tell you that? All right. Why couldn't you predict that from coming? Why couldn't you say what the end game is going to be? All right. Food shortages, famine, plagues, pestilence. All of this is coming. And you mean to tell me that you knew this or you claim to know this because of whoever you worship or idol you worship, or even if it's your own self? Well, where's the proof to back it up at? You have none. All right. Because why? You're full of it. Lest any man shall what? Boast. It's not of works. It says Isaiah 48 and verse 5. Let's read that again. I, Yahweh, it says, have even from the beginning declared it to thee. See? So we already know from the beginning how it's going to play out, man. We know the end game. We know the results that's coming from a wicked kingdom such as this that we're in. It's going to be judged and harshly. All right. And America is going to be that altar, that sacrifice. And you people are going to be the fuel that light it. Okay. It says, I have even from the beginning declared it to thee. Before it came to pass, I showed thee. So you know when that mark of the beast come, you're going to know. Then a prophet has been what? Before you. You're going to know it, man. All right. When Jacob's trouble is finally here and you got them troops knocking in on your door and knocking your door and carting you off to these detention centers, you're going to know it. See? You're going to know it, that a prophet has been amongst you, man. All right. And it's going to be a beautiful thing, man. All right. To know that, hey, y'all going to have to eat them words, man. All that shit that you claim you had known and had a forehand of, and you was just pump faking and trying to scoff and mock the prophets of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shot, you're going to eat those words in those days, man. It says, I have even from the beginning declared it to thee. Before it came to pass, I showed it thee. Jacob's trouble. How's it going to look? Famine, you know, a lack of bread, the sword, the troops coming in, knocking down your door at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, carting you off to these detention centers. All of this the Lord declared from the beginning, and he showed it to you, and he showed it to thee in the scriptures, the prophecies that were broken down by his servants, that, hey, these are things to come to pass. So when they come to pass, you're going to know that what? A prophet has been amongst you. Let's go there. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 33 and verse 3. Ezekiel 33 and 3. 33. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 33 and verse 33. There, got it. It says, and when this cometh to pass, see, everything that we prophesying about right now, it's all going to come to pass. And when this cometh to pass, when the mark of the beast is made mandatory, when you got the troops coming in, kicking in your door, carting you off, taking you to these detention centers for whatever purposes and reason that they have against you, when Jacob's trouble is in full effect, when we told you to return and repent and come back to the Lord, when all of this come to pass, and it shall come to pass, it says, Ezekiel 33 and 3, and when this cometh to pass, lo, it will come. It says, then shall they know that a prophet have been among them. See, but for a lot of you people, it's gonna be way too late, man. It's gonna be way too late. When you down there in these detention centers, these reform centers, given the opportunity to take the mark of the beast or to be beheaded, a lot of you gonna take that mark because why? Your spirit, your faith isn't going to be built up enough to reject that. All right, and ultimately that's the Lord rejecting you, and you're gonna know that a prophet has been amongst you because you're gonna reflect back to your memory that, damn, I remember hearing that. I remember seeing that. I remember somebody saying something similar to that. But see, you ain't gonna have it all together. You ain't gonna have the names. You ain't gonna have the faith. You ain't gonna have the mercy. So what's gonna happen? You're gonna be destroyed, man. All right? You're gonna be destroyed, okay? Lest any man should boast. It's not of works, lest any man should boast, see? And that day, you're not gonna be able to pretend like you had it from the beginning, okay? Because the Lord gonna make it known who's his servants, his prophets, man. They gonna be eating. They gonna be eating, meaning they gonna be having something to eat, drink, and everything else. All right, while you gonna be out here struggling, looking for food, looking for water, looking for shelter. All right, it's gonna be known in that day who the Lord's dealing with and who he is. All right, but until then, Jake can still pretend like he got it under wrap and that he knows and that his idols and whoever he worships, whether it's himself or some other type of statue or whatever it is that he's into, is going to deliver him in that day. He can still pretend like that. All right, because why? Shit ain't really hit the fan like that just yet, but it's coming. All right, it's coming. And when it comes, you ain't gonna be able to pump fake like that no more. All right, the Lord is gonna let it be known who he's dealing with. You and your false idols are the men of the Lord that's been what? Serving the Lord with all truth and sincerity to the best of their ability. Okay. So back to Isaiah 48 and verse 6, it says, thou hast heard, see all this, and will not ye declare it? I have showed thee new things from this time, even hidden things, and thou didst not know them. See? So why Jake don't know about the arrows and Jeremiah? Okay? Why they didn't know that those were missiles? All right? Because the Bible is written in such a way that it's written in code, man. And unless the Spirit is dealing with you, you can't decipher what it's talking about. All right? See, even the prophets back then didn't know about the missiles. All right? They knew they were arrows. They described them the best way they could, but they didn't know that they would be called missiles in the day's time, man. When John saw the mark of the beast, he didn't know it was going to be called an RFID microchip, but he saw it nevertheless, because why? The Lord revealed his secrets to his servants, the prophets. All right? And now we're back in the last days to break them down for you and to give you more clarity and understanding on what it is that the prophets wrote back then. All right? And how pertinent it is today. All right? So if you can't receive it, it's because why? The Lord has clogged or put wax in your ear spiritually to not receive this truth. All right? lest any man should boast. All right? See? So you can't receive this truth. Because why? The Lord has put a mental block on you. All right? Now, if he wants to open you up to it, he can open you up if you're an Israelite. But if you're another nation, forget about it. All right? You ain't going to get it no matter what. Okay? Because it ain't meant for you. All right? This word is only meant for Israel. Yasharallah, meaning what? Prince of the power. Who is that? The so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right? So it says Isaiah 48:6. It says, Isaiah 48:6, thou hast heard, see all this, and will not ye declare it? I have showed thee new things from this time, even hidden things, and thou didst not know them. See? Because this word has been around for a while, man. Why haven't your Christian pastors been able to go into it and break it down and tell you what the deep, dark secrets are? Because why? They haven't been chosen to do such, all right? They're what you call hirelings, and even those in the truth, all right, is being what? Sought out and being found to be what? Hirelings, man, all right? So you got to pray that the Lord continues to guide and direct your path in the way of what? Righteousness, and to receive this truth, and to continue in it so that you don't fall out, all right? What does it say in Psalms 51:11? Let's read that. This is the book of Psalm, chapter 51:11, all right? Because the Lord can remove his spirit off of you at any time, lest any man should boast. So don't get too proud. This is Psalms 51 and verse 11. Check this out. It reads, Psalm 51:11, cast me not away from thy presence. See, this is the type of humbleness and meekness you got to come in with, because the Lord doesn't need you. All right, and this is King David, one that was true to Yahweh. He had his heart, but he went off, and he was afraid that the Lord would cast him away. So he made this song. But we gotta adapt this to us as well. It says, "Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me." See. So the Lord doesn't need you. At any time, he can remove his spirit from off you, lest you should boast and say that you knew everything. All right? That's why you got to continue to be meek and humble in this walk, in this faith. All right? Because you don't got it, man. Just because you know a little something, just because the Lord opened you up to something, don't mean that you're going to obtain that and retain that knowledge all the way into the end. All right? As they say, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh. All right? He can remove the spirit, the Holy Spirit that was supping with you, and put you back into what? That old man, that old creature, all right? That foolish state that you were in before you came into this knowledge. It says, Psalms 51:11, cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. See? And this is why we move in a different fashion than the rest of the world, man, because we understand the severity of the Lord. This is why we don't want to get on his bad side. That's why it says in Hebrews 10:31, it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. See, we don't want to test that theory, man. We don't want to, not a theory, we don't want to test that prophecy, all right? That the Lord will cast his presence away from us. We don't want that, man. So we rather continue to operate and move in fear, all right? And Lord willing, we be found worthy to receive that mercy and that grace in that time, in that day, okay? So back to Isaiah 48 and verse 7, it says, they are created now and not from the beginning, even before the day when thou heardest them not, lest thou shouldest say, behold, I knew them. See? And that's what's up with Jake, man. All right? I can't stand a damn Israelite that claimed they knew shit, but didn't know nothing, man. Just humble down and say you didn't know something, man. All right? There's no more worse thing than a person that's proud and boasting. All right? You didn't know anything before coming into this truth. I don't care what you say, because the Lord put us in that predicament that we will lose our heritage. So with that being said, how the hell did you know anything, man? Are you saying that the words of the Heavenly Father aren't true? Of course they are. It's your understanding that's screwed up. Let's read that. This is Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 4. It says, Jeremiah 17 and 4, and thou even thyself shall discontinue. It says, from thy heritage that I gave thee. See? So this was a prophecy that was written aforetime, that we would be what? Discontinue from our heritage. So we didn't even know who the hell we are, or we didn't even know who the hell we were, man. We thought those 1948ers over there in the Holy Land was the people of the Bible for the longest, man. See? So where has been your understanding and knowledge of this truth all this time? You didn't know who you were. You didn't know who they were. All right? You believed the narrative that was being pushed out through school, through media, through other sources of lies. All right? It wasn't until this word went out on the highway and the hedges that we started waking up to who we are, beginning in 1969 with a man by the name of Abba Bibbins, okay? Until today, all right? So you didn't know who you were. Don't play like you did from the beginning, because why? Prophecy dictates everything. And it says that what? Let's read it again. Jeremiah 17 and verse 4. And thou even thyself shall discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee. And part of our heritage was what? Prophets. So we didn't know anything pertaining to prophecy. We had to be taught all over again. All right? So you can't boast yourself and say that you knew everything when you had to be taught. It says, I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. See? So this is why we was in the predicament that we in, because we kindled a fire in Yahweh that burned forever. Because why? We went off. We worship these other idols, these false pagan idols. Christianity being the main one today. All right? So-called Christianity. All right? Which is what? Pushed by who? Esau Edom, the so-called white man, with that image of what? Cesare Borgia, or Caesar Borgia, which we know as the Christ. All right? So we was discontinued, so you didn't know anything. And part of our heritage was what? Prophet, being a prophet. So you had no clue of what these prophecies were in the Bible. To you, it was just a book that was in a drawer that you would find in a hotel or just in a pupil when you would go to church, all right? You didn't know who you were. You didn't know who Esau was. You didn't know what the mark of the beast was, to the extent that if you take it, you will be destroyed. You didn't know anything. You had to be taught all over again, all right? So you can't be boastful and thinking you know everything. It says, Jeremiah 17 and verse 4, and thou even thyself shall discontinue from thy heritage. And this was a prophecy, and it came to pass. It says, that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not, which is over here in America. All right, this is where we are serving our enemies. All right, primarily Esau Edom, man. Okay, now other nations are making, hands over fists, off of our people because of our ignorance, pursuing the Psalms 83. But Esau Edom is the main one that we're serving, because he's using him to put that what? That rod on us, okay? That sword. It says, I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. See? Even to this day, man. That's why we telling our people to what? Repent. Turn back to the Lord. Seek him while he may be found, man. It ain't a light thing that you should just look at this that you see and wave it off as something that's just, trending. No, man, this is deadly serious, okay? The Lord's anger has been kindled because of our sin, our iniquity, all right, our transgression against the law, okay? So let's jump back to Isaiah 48. This is Isaiah 48 and 7. It says, they are created now and not from the beginning, even before the day when thou heardest them not, lest thou shouldest say, behold, I knew them. See? And you can't, because why? We just read it. You were cut off. We were all cut off from our heritage. Okay? It says, Isaiah 47, Isaiah 48 and 8, yea, thou heardest not, yea, thou knewest not, yea, from that time that thy ear was not open. See, our ears had to be open again, man, to this truth. We had to be receptive to this truth. The Lord had to chose us to hear this truth. Let's go there. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 13, in verse, what is that? Matthew 13 and 15. It reads, the book of Matthew, St. Matthew, chapter 13 and 15. This is red letters, Yahweh Shai speaking. It reads, for this people's heart is wax gross, and their ears are dull of hearing. See? So the Lord has to open you up to hear this thing in the spirit, man. Because why? Until then, our ears are what? Dull of hearing. It says, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, which is your mind, and should be converted, and I should heal them. So it's the Lord that's going to do all the healing, man. All right? It's Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, that's going to do the healing. That's going to recall or re-jog our memory to who we are. All right? By what? The way of his service to prophets. Now, if you're of the elect, you're going to take heed and do what's asked and required of you. If you're a 2/3 Israelite, you're just going to walk by, see a video, you know, pass by it, you know, and do whatever it is that you was doing before you heard this truth. All right? Because why? For many are called, but few are chosen. You weren't one of the ones chosen to receive this precious jewelry, this precious, you know, word. All right? So it says back to Isaiah 48 and verse 8. Let's read that. This is Isaiah 48 and 8. It says, yea, thou heardest not, yea, thou knewest not, yea, from that time that thy ear was not open. See, before our ear was open, we didn't know who we were. All right? We didn't know the names of the Father. We didn't know diddly jack. It says, yea, thou heardest not, yea, thou knewest not, yea, from that time that thy ear was not open, when we were cut off from being a nation, when we lost our heritage. It says what? Thou knewest not, yea, from that time that thy ear was not open, for I knew that thou wouldest deal very treacherously. See? So we've had an always propensity, always a dealing of being what? Treacherously. All right? Just doing shit contrary to what the word says, man. All right? Being treacherous. It says, for I knew that thou would dealest very treacherously, and was called a transgressor from the womb. See? Going back to our days when we were in Egypt, just beginning as a nation, we were dealing treacherously. We were worshiping other idols. Going back into what? The time of the wilderness, all right? When we wanted Aaron to build a golden calf so that we can what? Worship a golden image, man. We've always dealt treacherously. No different in the day than us what? Worshiping this false idol, Jesus Christ or Caesar Borgia, man. We've always dealt treacherously. All right, let's read that. Joshua, is it 24? Give me 1 second. This is the book of Joshua, chapter 24, and I believe it's verse 4. Joshua 24 and 4. All right, we're gonna get it. Because this has been the MO for Israel since we became a nation. All right. This is the book of Joshua, chapter 24 and verse 4. Come on. Joshua 24. Wind keeps blowing. This is Joshua chapter 24 and verse 14. It reads, now therefore fear Yahweh and serve him in sincerity and in truth. See? And that's the issue with our people, man. We say we serve the Lord, but we don't serve him in what? Sincerity and truth. We serve him according to our heart, our ways. No, the Lord gave us a way how to serve him, and it is according to this word. So this is Joshua 24 and verse 14. It says, now therefore fear Yahweh and serve him in sincerity and in truth, and put away the gods which your fathers served on the other side of the flood and in Egypt, and serve ye Yahweh. See? So our people have always had a dealing of being treacherous, okay? Going back to before the flood, going back into Egypt, going back into now, all right? Serving these false idols, man. Put away those idols, all right? And turn and serve the true power, Yahweh, okay? So let's go back to Isaiah 48 now that we got that. This is Isaiah 48 and 8. It says, yea, thou heardest not, yea, thou knewest not, yea, from that time that thy ear was not open, because we were discontinued from our heritage, we had to learn all over again who we were. It says, for I knew that thou wouldest deal very treacherously. See, the Lord knew all of this because why? He set the stage for us to be put in this predicament. And you can't question the creator why he does the things that he does, man. We the creature. We don't have that authority or right. All right. His ways are higher than ours. All right. Isaiah 55 and 11. It says, yea, thou heardest not, yea, thou knewest not, yea, from that time that thy ear was not open, for I knew that thou wouldest deal very treacherously, and was called a transgressor from the womb. Now we just went into that in Joshua 24 and verse 14, how that we were serving other idols and we weren't serving the Lord in all sincerity and truth. We dealt very treacherously from what? The womb, all right? Now that word womb has multiple meanings, and one of those meanings is what? A seat of mental faculties, all right? And that's the time that we receive this word, this truth, these laws, these statutes, these commandments in the wilderness. We've been dealing very treacherously. We've been going off. We've been doing things that the Lord told us not to do, okay? Just because, all right? Because why? We read that we are stiff-necked, our necks as stiff as iron, our heads as hard as brass. All right, that's Israel MO, man. See, but the Lord is only looking for that small remnant to what? Turn back to him. The rest is going to be destroyed here in America and elsewhere, but primarily here in the United States of America. All right. It says, verse 9, for my name's sake, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, will I defer my anger. See, because why? He's bound by his word. All right. He's not going to destroy us for his name's sake, not for anything else, not for our works that we've done. Because as we read in Isaiah 64 and 6, all our works are as a filthy rag, man. So the Lord's going to defer from destroying us for his name's sake, all right? And that these other heathens don't boast themselves up against us, all right? So make no mistake about it, all right? Lest any man should boast. It's not of our works, lest any man should boast. All right. It says, Isaiah 48 and 9, for my name's sake will I defer my anger, and for my praise will I refrain for thee, that I cut thee not off. See? So the Lord was well within his right to cut us off, man, but for his name's sake. All right, and he gave us part of his name, Yasharallah, Prince of the Power, for his name's sake. All right, he's not going to what? Cut us off. All right, he's going to do what? Defer for that one small cluster, that he's found to himself, that small remnant. All right, just for that small remnant, the elect sake, he's not going to destroy all of Israel. All right. It says, verse 10, behold, I have refined thee, but not with silver. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction. See? So guess what? He's going to refine us, but not as silver. He's going to choose us as what? The furnace of affliction. We're going to have to go through it. All right? And rightfully so. We deserve it, man. We deserve to go through whatever affliction the Lord sees fits for us. Through all the captivity that we went through, we deserved it. Even up into this last captivity that we in right now, we deserve it, man. All right? And the elect understands that. That's why they're being remorseful and sincere and turning back and repenting. All right, while it's still time. All right, while the doors of mercy are still open, the elect is returning back to the Father, seeking the Lord 10 times more. All right, understanding what's coming right around the corner. Jacob's trouble, man. While all these other Israelites are playing games and taking shit lightly, no, man. We getting right with Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. We getting familiar with that strong tower, all right? Because the righteous run into it and are what? Delivered, all right? So we getting prepared, man. While these other Israelites are out here, playing games and doing shit like that, no, we taking this truth deadly serious. We getting as close as possible to the Father, man, through his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai. Because you got Israelites that saying that Yahweh Shai ain't the Savior, man. Then who gonna save you? You yourself? Your false idol? Who gonna save you? See, Jake's still playing games. That's why the title of the lesson is, "It's not of works, lest any man should boast." See, Jake don't want to give credit to Yahweh Shai. Oh no, Yahweh Shai, that's a made up concept. The New Testament isn't real. It's a plagiarism of the Old Testament. Man, get the fuck out of here with that, man. See? And you're going to come to find out that you ain't going to be able to save nobody, all right? Yourself, your children, your family, nobody, all right? That's why we take this word deadly serious, man, okay? That's why though I be rude with speech, okay? So yeah, I use foul language, all right? But guess what? What do you say to Esau, who's using weaponry to mow down our people? You go out and tell them, oh, why are you using guns to shoot down Jake in the street? Or why are you doing this? You worrying about foul language, man. Meanwhile, Esau Edom is sitting here getting ready to mow down the whole population, man. And you worrying about foul language? Come on, man. Get real, okay? You got this damn devil that's getting ready to come knock down at your door and come in like a flood, and you worrying about foul language? Seriously? You can tell that's a Christian though, man. A so-called Christian, all right? And you're gonna be dealt with in that day. We're gonna see how foul language Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is when he come knock on your door. May not even knock on your door. May what they call that type of knock, a surprise knock, and just come take you in. See, is he gonna use? I'll tell you what, he'll use nice words, but he'll show you his true nature. All right. So we're not worried about foul words, man. Though I be rude with speech. Okay. So it says Isaiah 48 and verse 9, "For my name's sake will I defer my anger, and for my praise will I refrain for thee, that I cut thee not off." You think the Lord is going to cut us off because we use foul language? When we dealing with a stiff-necked, a hard-necked people, man, and he's made our head just as hard as theirs, of course we're going to use a little foul language, because why? We're passionate about this, okay? Though I be rude with speech, not in this truth though, all right? Criticize the word, all right, if I'm going off. You worrying about language. What about the message, all right? That's what's important. Preaching this message to the elect. We're not even worried about the 2/3 of our people. This is only for the elect, all right? Lest any man should boast. It's not of works, lest any man should boast, all right? So you can't make that type of statement. You can make it all you want to, all right? But it's not backed by anything. It says, "Behold, I have refined thee, but not with silver. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction." See? So the Lord's going to choose his elect, man. He's going to bring them through that fire, through that affliction. on the other side. And they're going to do what? Give all praises. Because why? We're going to barely be able to make it out of Babylon the Great, the United States of America. All right? We're going to scarcely be able to make it. Okay? But if we are the elect, guess what? We're going to make it. All right? We're going to be able to make it through the other side of this affliction, man. Jacob's trouble, which we're in the early stages of, all the way up until what? The missiles come to destroy this place. All right? When the chariots, the so-called UFOs, beam up the elect. All right? Lord willing, we be part of that number to be found worthy to be what? Delivered. Okay? But it's not of our works, lest we should boast. It's by what? Grace, by mercy. All right? By election, if we chose it. It says, verse 10, behold, I have refined thee, but not with silver. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction. For my own sake, even for my own sake, will I do it. So don't get it twisted. It's not of our works. It's for whose sake? Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai's sake, that he's doing it. All right? Lest any man should boast. It's not of our own works. Now, do we make void or null and void the law? No. We keep the laws, the statutes, the commandments to the best of our ability. Judges 5 and 11. We are rehearsing the righteous acts. It says, verse 11, Isaiah 48:11, for my own sake, even for my own sake, will I do it. For how should my name be polluted, and I will not give my glory unto another? See? So the Lord is not going to give his glory to another, man. That's why he's going to do it for his own sake. For the name of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, the Lord is going to deliver his people, the Israelites, the elect, to be more specific. Okay? So let's see. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 1 and verse 5. All right? And we get ready to close out. This is the book of Jeremiah chapter 1, and let's read it. Verse 5. It says, the book of Jeremiah chapter 1 and verse 5. It says, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee. And I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. See? So the Lord chose those that he's risen up in these last days to preach this word in all truth and sincerity, to be what? A prophet. He formed us in the belly to do just this that we're doing. Okay? So if you find it offensive that we use vulgar or certain words, then fine. Go and follow after a more subtle or gentle speaking false prophet. All right? That's going to tell you to take the mark of the beast. All right? That's going to tell you to call on the names of Jesus. Go follow after someone like that. But we've been called to be a prophet of Yahweh, Bashim Yahweh Shai, and the prophets had a rough around the edges type of speech, you know, that they didn't hold back. Okay? They didn't hold back. All right? And saying goddamn ain't a curse word, ain't a cuss word. All right? It's not a curse word. A curse word is when you put a curse on somebody. There was no cursing involved in the speech. All right? Those are just words you don't have understanding on. All right? But nevertheless, the Lord called us to do this mission, this task. Let's read it again. Jeremiah chapter 1 and verse 5. For I formed thee in the belly. See? Lest any man should boast. It's not of our works. The Lord called us before we were even, born. Before I formed thee in the belly. This is Jeremiah chapter 1 and verse 5. Then we get ready to close out. This has been a good Sabbath. This is Jeremiah chapter 1 and verse 5. It reads, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee. And I ordain thee a prophet unto the nations. All right, wherever the Israelites were scattered. Okay, this is our task. This is our mission. This is our job. This is our profession. All right, as a prophet. Okay, to bring out this truth. All right, no matter what your feelings are like. All right, we've been ordained through the power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai to bring this message out. Jeremiah 1:5. We just read it. Before I formed in the belly, I knew thee and I ordained thee to be a prophet. See? So we're going to continue to push this word all the way into the end. Lord willing, we be found worthy to endure into the end, you know, and we don't get big-headed and understand that it's not of our works that we're doing it. It's through what? Faith, grace, and mercy, that unless any man should boast, all right? And we don't want to have that proud spirit on us, all right? So we're going to continue to stay meek and humble, Lord willing, all the way into the end, okay? So with that being said, we're going to turn and face the east, and we're going to give all praises to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, all right? Shalom to the elect. Until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. Hey, what? We almost home. Shalom. Peace.